Hey, it's Tarrmu and welcome to Thinking Out Loud, and in today's video we'll be talking about guides for video games and ask the question, do guides diminish the overall experience for a video game? It's a difficult topic that spans many different areas, and it doesn't just divulge down to a simple yes or no question. There are many different factors and variables to consider here, and I want to break them all down in this video. There is this first question that we really have to answer that underpins a game, and I want to make this as the proposition before we get into the video. What is the game you are playing? Is it focused around puzzles? Is it a game that's mainly focused around combat and has a little light thing here that's kind of blocking your way? Or do you just so happen to be lost and not know where to go? When would you resort to using a guide? There's a few caveats here that I want to start with, and that's the bug caveat. There are certain games that you play, and I feel like a guide can be very useful because there are times where your progress may be prevented for a reason that may be out of your control, like something may not be triggering, an item that you needed or a path that you need to go to is not responding, and I think that guides help you understand that the game is having issues and not you with your skill issues or being able to figure out the puzzle, but I think that those are a caveat that gets into a whole other conversation, and I just wanted to put that out there because I do think that that is one interesting use case. But I think the more interesting use cases that we want to get into here come from the case studies that I'm about to get into. So the flip side to this really sparked the idea for this whole video, and it's built around a few games that I've played in the past few years that really have stuck with me. And it's games that have these unconventional approaches to traversal and puzzle solving mechanics. I think of games like The Outer Wilds, where the puzzle solving and piecing things together from nothing is what makes an experience like that and everything that comes with it so special. But recently I played the first Resident Evil game for the first time, and experiencing that game and piecing all the mysteries of the Spencer Mansion together was an extremely rewarding experience, and it provided a sense of space that I haven't really felt in many games in recent years. There is a level of knowledge that unfolds and makes the routes you take and the quickest routes and ways forward that you just discover feel like a second nature thing once you get a feel for it. And it feels like you've mastered the game through just exploring and experiencing it. And it's one of the big reasons I think many of these types of experiences stick with me. This isn't to say, however, that anyone who doesn't or does use a guide is having any less of an experience than the experience I had per se. I don't think that's true at all. Sometimes if you are stuck on a game and you need help, that's better than looking up a tip or a hint that you could help you rather than just dropping the game entirely. I think that that's a way better outcome. There are so many great games that I feel like it sucks if you put that down because you got stuck somewhere. And I think using a guide, if that helps you so you see it through to the end, that's fantastic. And hell, I'm not gonna say I've never used a guide. I've used a guide tons of times. There's times where you get stuck and you just need it. And it's like, well, this helps you out. You know where to go. And it's like, that thing. And insert the Drake helping the guy with the MacBook template, yeah. But now I want to get into this big thing, because I think it's a matter of, with great power comes great responsibility. I think guides fall into that category. Now I want to get into the focal point, the central theme of what I'm trying to get at here, and that is, well, I feel like guides are great, and if you ask me, do they diminish an experience? I would say on their face, no, they don't. They can really help you get through an experience, especially if you're stuck. They help you push forward, and sometimes they're the thing that prevents you from putting a game down indefinitely. And that can help, and it can even help you sometimes understand the types of puzzles or a mechanic for a game that prevents future roadblocks. It may have just been something you missed in a tutorial phase or something that just wasn't clicking. But when a guide becomes your default reflex instead of engaging with the game's intended challenge, that's when I feel the experience starts to erode, especially when the game's main focal point is to problem solve. Then I do believe that it does detract from the experience, that essentially really is spoiling an experience for yourself. There are games like Resident Evil that I mentioned earlier where looking up where an item is or where to go wouldn't cave in on the game, but there are many other games that do exist where once you know the solution, the game can be solved in its entirety fairly quickly, and it robs the player of a more broader journey that naturally leads them to that conclusion. The sad part to me is that unlike a skill-oriented game like a Souls-like or something like this where you have to build up a skill and get good, one of these games that is focused around knowledge, it's like once you know the solution, like I feel like once you know the solution for a game like Tunic or The Outer Wilds, that's the game's challenge, and it has kind of been taken away from you. You've robbed it from yourself in a way. And I feel like that's kind of their specialty, but also if you use these types of guides as a crutch, it kind of is taking away that challenge in a way that you can't quite get back. There are outliers to this conversation too, where there are games like Souls-likes where the puzzle could be a boss, and even where the strategy is something you may have to look up to get inspiration, like different builds to approach the boss. Although this is taking influence and looking up an element of the the game. The success still comes from you, the player, having to accomplish and get good at the game and beat the boss and overcome them. There are obviously communities that speed run games and they have their own route optimization and things like this, and I don't really feel like they fall into this conversation because I think that they're more aligned with second playthroughs, and guides for me are obviously a first playthrough type of thing as well. But overall, I think that what I'm trying to get at is, with this video, I think guides can do a lot of good. They can help players solve puzzles, they can give them a good idea on how to think more in what the game's trying to offer and provide them the direction that the type of game is trying to put down. They can provide inspiration for how you can overcome that difficult boss. But when it becomes a full reliant mechanism of how you are going to get through this game from the start to finish, and every game you just put it down right next to you, I feel like for some experiences in particular, that does erode from the experience. But I mean, these are an age-old thing. We've had strategy guides since the old days, and really, it just comes down to people's preferences. And I think that from time to time, we all use one, we all look up stuff, we all try to figure things out when we get stuck, and it's a natural thing. And I guess outside of these few edge cases, who's to say? As long as you're having fun, what really does matter? But overall, this is how I feel about this. Guides are useful and they can help you improve your time with a game if they are used to help you get past a roadblock, but there are particular experiences that I think do suffer from its use and overuse more so. I do feel it takes some of the satisfaction, sense of place and connection that one could feel with an experience, but these are just my thoughts and opinions, really, just one guy. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on guides? Do you use them? Do you feel like overuse of guides is a good or bad thing? Do you not really care? You're like, whatever, man, what are you talking about? Or do you think that there is something to be said about particular experiences and just going in blind and just experiencing it? Let me know down below. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. As always, I've been Tarrmu and this has been Thinking Out Loud. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.